Welcome everyone. We're super excited to have you here at our co-creation workshop, Creating Immersive Media to Inspire Action for the Goals with MyWorld 360. My name is Elise Gaynor, and I'm here with my colleague, Lisa Jobson. We are from a nonprofit, Digital Promise, out in California in the United States. And we're super excited to present today. We know that there are plenty of you here on the Zoom webinar with us, and then some participants are joining from the festival's virtual event platform, watching the live stream. So however you're joining, welcome. We're super excited to have you here. And first, we have a couple of notes from the SDG Action Campaign team that I am going to read. So we first want you to please note that this session is part of the SDG Global Festival of Action. So if you are joining here directly in Zoom, we strongly encourage that you log on to the event platform afterwards, and we'll share the link in the chat if you don't have it already. You can then benefit from joining any one of 6 stages, meeting and connecting with others in the connection zone, and you can also check out up to 20 exhibits to find additional information in the resource library. Our second point is that by joining this webinar, everyone on the panel consents to having their image and audio being broadcast. For those of you joining via Zoom, we have the opportunity here to promote participants to be featured on the screen with their cameras and their mic on. If we do that, you also automatically give your consent. Our third bullet point here is that we have strict broadcasting regulations. So if anybody is promoted to have their mics and camera on, please do not include any logos, flags, or music in the background. And then finally, if any of these broadcasting regulations are broken, we'll need to remove participants. So we trust that you all understand the guidelines and that hopefully it won't result to that. But before we start, we wanted to get a sense of who's in the room. So I am going to launch a poll. Give me 1 second. And we want to know where you are currently located. So we'll give you about 15 seconds to go ahead and vote. All right, we're almost at most of the group. It says 70, we're hitting up 80, 85% of people who have voted. So I'm going to end the poll here and share the results. And we'll see that we have a lot of people from Europe, followed by a lot of folks represented in South America, and then a spread across North America, Asia, Africa, and a few folks from Australia and Oceania. So wherever you're joining from, welcome. Thank you for being here today. So I'm going to just share a little bit about MyWorld 360 before we hand it over to the creators to share about their work. This program is a partnership between Digital Promise, Oculus from Facebook, and the UN SDG Action Campaign. And we launched in 2018 as a global call to action for creators worldwide to create and share immersive media that inspires positive action on the SDGs. We have over 40 projects in our collection, and every year we launch a new call for submissions to add to our MyWorld 360 playlist. And at the end of this session, we'll share some information about how you can submit a project. So please stay tuned to the end and you'll get some more info about that. But our playlist that we're highlighting today is a collection of 8 great projects from all over the world, including Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Germany, Kenya, and Mauritius. And we want to hand it over to Marina Ponti, who's the director of the UN SDG Action Campaign, to give a couple of congratulatory remarks to our creators here today.
Thank you, Alice. I'm so proud and delighted to be here. And let me congratulate all of you and welcome you as a new generation of MyWorld 360's creators. It has been a joy to see this initiative grow over the years with more and more creators from across both generation and geography, responding to our call with increasingly impactful and inspiring content. Our aim is to hear and watch the point of view of the communities and of the people who are on the front line of both problems and solutions vis-à-vis today's greatest challenges. Thank you for sharing your story with the world. In this turning point for people and for the planet, your story will bring participants of this festival to new realities, building empathy, solidarity, but also hope, all of which have proven more essential than ever in this very difficult moment. At this festival, our common goal is to find new ways to inspire and mobilize action, to build more just and more sustainable society. And believe me, each one of you is helping us achieve this goal. And for that, I thank you. I also want to thank our partners in this journey who help us to grow and strengthen this program and will continue to do so. Digital Promise, Lisa and Elise, and Cindy from the Oculus team. Thank you, as I know all of you are here today. And now let's kickstart the session, as I know you're eager to get feedback from this very special audience that we gathered today, which is also very eager to get to know your work. Congratulations to every My World 360 creator again, and to everyone here who hasn't seen the films yet. Go over to the experience and action space after the workshop and get the full experience. Enjoy.
Awesome, thank you. So really quickly, I just want to show all the names of the folks who are presenting today and their work. And I want to remind you all that this is an interactive session. So after each team presents their work and a question about their work, you're invited to engage with us through raising your hand to be able to unmute yourself and chat, or you can use the chat feature to write in a question, a comment, feedback, a reflection. So we're really excited to get to that portion of the presentation. And first, before we get there, we have our first group from Mauritius with the film Aftermath.
Hello, hope you can all hear me. I'm pleased to share with you my immersive VR project, Aftermath, which looks at future impacted by climate change. And my name is Vipin, and I'm originally from the island of Mauritius, which is a small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. So I've been working on immersive technologies and making games for about 6 years now. And I'm currently studying the Masters of Sustainable Environments and Planning at Bond University in Australia, and where I use my multidisciplinary skills to express and showcase the impacts of climate change. So Aftermath started as a pet project at university, where I realized there was so much work being carried out by academics, by UNs, so much material, but thought there could be a more accessible way of providing this information to people. So I started with the creation of concept images, as you can see, about what could potentially happen to my island nation, and also from talking to fellow students from the Pacific Oceans, where they've experienced sea levels, and some even had to be displaced, really. I came up with these photo montages to potentially show what's happening elsewhere in the world, but what could also be happening in the future in Mauritius. So the next slide is a video which showcases the VR project. So I hope it's not lagging too much. So the video showcases an immersive experience where one can actually walk through the space, but also interact with animals that we've seen pictures where they're stuck in plastics or being affected by our activities or by our consumerism. So the participant or the user has the ability to help the animals, but also see what could potentially happen, the displacement of people, settlements, but also see and start conversations about how we can potentially help in a way, using these immersive technologies as tools to create awareness. So in creating Aftermath, the idea was to show what's happening elsewhere in the world, and not only in Mauritius or small island nations, as this could happen anywhere along coastal areas. And from the final slides, there is a photo montage of it's actually a section going back to my roots as architecture. So it's actually seeing what's happening on top, but that, as we all normally see, but also asking questions about what's happening underneath the ocean, how animals are being affected, and start conversations around there. So the idea is also to kind of question what repercussions climate change has on vulnerable areas and small island developing states, and see what potential adaptation techniques, mitigation, but also build resiliency on our coastal settlements, and start conversations around this. Thank you.
Wonderful. So this is the time where we'll have a chance to engage with Vipin on his work. So if you have a question, feel free to use the reaction toolbar to raise your hand, and then we can unmute you and you can share your question live here, or feel free to write your thoughts or your questions in the chat.
Thank you. I'm just reading the chat at the moment. Thanks. Yeah, the turtle does look happy.
Vipin, it looks like there's a question. Someone asked, what kind of reaction have you had to your work so far?
So the reaction came in kind of twofold. So first pertaining to the technology in itself, as people, I mean, originally the idea of gaming has been associated with VR quite a bit, but giving it that that other dimension, educational, and kind of raising awareness, kind of took some people by surprise of what this technology could be used for, the gamification aspect of it. But also people weren't aware of what's happening elsewhere in the world. Of course, this is kind of a photo montage of things that could potentially happen in the future. And even from the concept images, these are actually photos, real photos that's been overlaid to create like a synergy in the images. So the idea also is to make people navigate using navigation techniques to explore the space. So I think this has enormous potential, and people kind of started realizing what immersive technology can bring to the table. I have another one. How long did it take to create? So I started it in late 2019. So it took a bit over a year and a half maybe. But it started very slow with just the idea was to create the what's happening on land and slowly move towards the ocean, but also using visual landmarks to kind of anchor people. So local people reflect and embrace the environment. So the idea now is to use the same techniques to potentially create other scenes or experiences that are more local to other regions in the world. So yeah, so it does take a while, especially with I quite enjoy doing the concept images. So using that as a base to create the VR, that's how I normally start doing my work. Doing a bit of research, but also audio is crucially important for the immersion within the space. I hope I answered the questions.
Yeah, and we have to move on to the next presentation, but I encourage you all to keep using the chat to ask questions, and feel free to write back in the chat too. We can keep the conversation going there, but want to make sure we have time for the rest of the creators on the call. So with that, we are going to introduce our next group from Memorias de Tierra, and feel free to unmute yourself and present your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Elise. And thank you very much for you all for being here and sharing with us and giving us the possibility to show you Memorias de Tierra. It's a transmedia project, and the heart of it is a 360 platform where you can find a lot of other contents, videos, photo galleries, and infographics. Beside this exists a photo exposition that complements the virtual experience. The 360 platform is made of 65 high-resolution 360 photos combined to rebuild virtually the village. Could you go back, please, to the first? Because I want to show on this photo where you can see the El Atillo. That's the village of El Atillo, and you can see it's a small village, a rural village. And it's in northern Colombia. They're living about 200 families, and yeah, and in the background you have the big mining waste heaps of the coal mines that surround El Atillo. And yeah, that's why we decided to make this project. And that's Juan Manuel Peña. It's the director of the Chasquis Foundation in Bogota, in Colombia. He's a photographer and audiovisual producer. And me, I'm Julia, and I'm a journalist from Germany, living in Colombia for a couple of years, and yeah, working with the Chasquis Foundation. And yeah, as I think you know, like a project like this, where you never do it on your own or just with two people. Actually, there are many others involved, and yeah, I want to mention the community of El Atillo, because with them and for them, we make the project. And yeah, they are all protagonists of our contents. Juan Manuel Peña knows the community already for a long time, and he knows about the serious problems that the mining has brought to this region, and especially to this community. So already a couple of years ago, the idea came up for a project like Memorias de Tierra. And when I came to work with the Chasquis Foundation, I immediately fell in love with the idea and yeah, supported it, because I think it's important yeah, to show this global topic. El Atillo is surrounded by this kind of open cast mines. And actually the department where El Atillo is located is where most of the Colombian coal is dismantled. 10 years ago, the Colombian Ministry of Environment ordered the resettlement of the community because of the massive air pollution that the coal mining has brought to this community. Since then, the inhabitants are waiting to be resettled. Delays, insufficient compliance, or violation of agreements have marked this process. Still, LRTO people don't know how everything will go on. Nowadays, some of the companies say they can't fulfill their responsibility towards the community because of economical problems, because of the pandemic. Yes, one company even wants to stop all the mining activities in the region. So as you can imagine, it means even more uncertainty for all the people in LRTO than in the last 10 years. Many of the people have mentioned that they wish to have a memory of their community since it's going to disappear. They want to show their children and grandchildren where their roots are, where they come from. So first of all, this project is created for the community. One day, maybe they will be resettled and yeah, their village, their houses, their gardens, their neighborhood, everything will disappear. With Memorias de Tierra, they will always have a place where they can go back and feel at home. Furthermore, as the whole resettlement process is caused by multinational companies that sell the coal to many different countries, we felt LRTO can raise awareness. Awareness for this kind of correlations. Why does consumer behavior, for example, in Europe, harm the right of healthy living, of a clean and diverse environment, a life without poverty, a sustainable living? Why does consume in Europe affect all these rights for people in a small village at the other side of the world? Until now, the project is still in progress. We had to realize it step by step. We only got the funding step by step. So there are still quite a lot of contents to produce. And until now, it's only bilingual and in Spanish and in German, but we hope to translate it, the contents, to English and other languages as soon as possible. Yeah, I told you the project is still in progress. So my question that I want to finish with is, what do you consider important aspects that we should work on? Maybe topics that we should amplify or deepen, and which could we focus our work? Thank you very much.
Great. So if you have a question or feedback, feel free to use the reactions toolbar to raise your hand and we can call on you to unmute your mic, or feel free to write your question directly in the chat.
If I could jump in, I think this is Lisa. We have one coming from the live stream. Julia, someone's saying phenomenal work. What changes have you seen in the community over the last 10 years in regards to impact versus the companies?
What changes? Well, what we can observe is that I mean, obviously there are the environmental impacts. They have quite a big problem with the quality of the water. That is very bad. The air pollution, but also there are also social impacts, because what many people mention is that with the mining and all the things that came with the mining, the social, how to say, the people, they are not like, they always say before they were one community and they had much solidarity and one helped each other and all this kind of thing. And now it's very, they are not like one community anymore. There are lots of, like jealousy or lots of problems within it that has come from the mining and from all the resettlement process that's going on. I think there are some more questions in the chat.
So I think we have time for one more piece of feedback or a question if you want to read something from the chat or if somebody wants to unmute themselves.
yeah, there's another question about the community, how we can like about the purpose of the project, and maybe it's interesting to mention that we in the resettlement progress, it is thought that in the new place where they are going to live, they will have like a little museum or like a casa cultural, like a place where they can come together. And the idea is that there will be a little exhibition space with the project, with Oculus, with some photos, that they can have access to this project also in the new place where they are going to live. And yeah, the idea is also because in this area, like the internet is not so good, so like that they can have like Oculus to have it there, like physically the Oculus with all the platform, with all the projects, to have it and to be independent from the internet connection.
Great, thank you all so much. We're going to move on to the next presentation, which is Birthing Across Borders, Intimacies of Maternal Care in Dadaab. So I'm going to ask that team to come on the mic and share their presentation.
Thank you so much. My name is Jen Begelman, and really thank you everyone for joining and everyone for being here today. So our project is called Birthing Across Borders, and it really is thinking about the intimacies of birth, the experiences of birth in really humanitarian contexts, refugee contexts, specifically Dadaab refugee camp, which is one of the world's largest refugee camps, one of the longest standing refugee camps in the world. And the project is really responding to a global challenge that probably a lot of us are familiar with, right? That maternal care and maternal neonatal care in camps can be really a challenge. And in particular, maternal neonatal mortality rates are extremely high, disproportionately high in humanitarian contexts like refugee camps. And one of the reasons for this is partly the lack of midwifery care and culturally sensitive care in these places. So our project is addressing that broad issue, and it aims to use VR to empower some of the refugee women living in Dadaab to tell some of their stories about what it is like to give birth in this space and what kind of maternal care they really want. And the purpose of the VR that we're sharing is part of a larger project to build a toolkit, actually, that's produced by refugee women themselves to train up future practitioners to provide more culturally sensitive care in the camps. And now I'm just going to allow my team, I hope they can unmute themselves, to introduce themselves. My name is Jen Begelman, I should have said that, and I'll allow Brian and Josephine to say a quick word as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. My name is Josephine Getome from Kenyatta University. I'm a co-principal investigator in the Digital and Maternal Healthcare Project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. My name is Brian Afande. I'm the co-founder and managing director of Black Rhino VR, which is an extended reality agency based in Nairobi, Kenya. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And just to say, this project really is a much broader team. It's just the three of us here today, but the refugee women who participated in this project are really at the heart of this experience. And we also partnered with the United Nations in Kenya and a variety of other partners that we don't have time to thank here, but you can also follow us at Twitter if you want to and find out more information. So we can go to the next slide. This is from one of the workshops that we led. Brian, who's here on the call, his VR company, Black Rhino, was really pivotal in providing the gear that you see here. They went to Dadaab during this COVID period that we've just all been experiencing. Earlier this year, they were there in November. And it was a really powerful time where women were able to first watch VR. This was the first time they'd experienced this. These are refugee women living in the camp. They're also indigenous midwives that were being trained in VR. And they storyboarded their own content. So really the idea is to allow these women to be content producers of this project. And what really came out, we found interesting, is that even though there are many hospitals in the camp, there's actually quite a lot of resources in the camp for people to give birth, even more so than outside of the camp in other places in Kenya. But women aren't going to these hospitals, and we had a research question, why? Why is that? And again and again, we heard that the reason women aren't attending some of these hospitals is because at times their cultural needs aren't being met, and they prefer sometimes to be relying on Indigenous midwives. So we tried to grasp some of these stories that aren't often documented to produce something that could be creating a bridge, I guess, between different maternal health practitioners. And I don't know if you wanted to say something here, Josephine. I think you're on mute.
Thank you. And I want to say that we had quite an experience journeying to Dadaab during COVID-19, with COVID-19 protocols challenging the journey, but we had to think outside the box, and we traveled halfway by air and halfway through rainy and hot weather condition and poor road network. And upon arrival, we had to deal with the bureaucracies and administrative protocols, which included negotiating with the community leaders to allow us carry out the research, of which they appreciated after understanding why we are doing so. And so we came out with the data, having an agreement with the community leaders. Thank you.
Thanks. We can move to the next slide. Oh, I see. I think I have access to that slide. How handy. This is another image from some of these workshops. And again, I think Josephine's touching on it, and I'm seeing questions coming about how did we create safe spaces. This is something that's vital to our project, and I'd love to talk about that in question and answer. But really the aspect of consent and ethics is vital when dealing with such intimate storytelling. And it's something we are continuing to think through, especially when we're talking about visually capturing stories that are quite sensitive. So during this project, we had ongoing conversations about that with women who themselves were just determining how the storyline would flow. And we can move to the next slide here. Yeah, the final question, and I want to leave enough room for a conversation about this, that we want to sort of leave you with is whether VR is an appropriate tool actually to capture intimate testimony, and also connected to this, how can VR be used in a more democratic way? I'm sure many of the content creators here know it's extremely expensive, it's challenging, clumpy, sort of clumsy tool sometimes. How do we use these tools in contexts like a refugee camp where we have limited access to Wi-Fi? And these are kind of genuine questions we're still grappling with, both in terms of the appropriateness of this tool and also its efficacy in terms of being a democratic tool. So I think we'll leave it there and open to questions. And I can see lots are coming through. So actually, I wouldn't mind going back to the earliest question. What strategies did you use to make people feel comfortable in this activity? How did you overcome resistance? I'm not sure if Josephine, I've talked a lot. Did you want to add anything in to that question?
I have responded to that question, and I can say it verbally that we had to do a workshop with the elders, that is the community leaders, the mothers and the indigenous TBAs, to have us understand what we have come to do, and also to connect their needs to our objectives so that they saw it as their concerns as well. And they said, we should have come yesterday. So we bonded well and started the work together without much hitch after the workshop.
Yeah, and I see some other people mentioning, oh, how do you ensure that you don't re-traumatize marginalized people with VR? Wow, really great question. And I mean, we do, all of our work is really, we take sort of a trauma-informed approach to research, which is that we sort of actually assume that everyone that we're working with may have had experiences of trauma. I mean, these are displaced communities. And so we use very invitational language always in our research. The research questions came from communities. So myself and Josephine spent 2 years actually before this VR project emerged as a research project doing field work. And the women we spoke to themselves designed the kind of central question that we explored in the VR. And I think an important part also is that this isn't an extractive process. So we don't just go in, get information, leave, and that's it. There's a relationship. We actually came to Dadaab through Josephine's very long-standing connections there, over 10 years working in Dadaab. And we continue to build those relationships. Going back to the women in the camp with the VR that they created is really important. And holding space as well, ensuring that women, if stories come up that are really challenging, that they have the proper support to work through those.
Great. We want to encourage you all to keep chatting. Use the chat feature to keep asking your questions. We do have to move to the next presentation, so I'm going to invite the creators of Cross to unmute themselves and begin sharing their stories.
Okay, can you listen to me? Yeah, it's fine. Hi everyone. Greetings from Ecuador, the middle of the world. I'm Juan Pablo Urgiles, creative director and co-founder at Iman Transmedia. We are a production agency based in Quito that develops interactive, transmedia, and immersive projects. We have been producing many contents for social impact and education in our country, working with organizations like UNESCO, the Inter-American Development Bank, and in this case, with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. We create Cruzar, Cross in English. It is a 360 VR documentary about human mobility and the Venezuelan displacement. We produced this project between Iman Transmedia with Karian and I in the team, and another partner like El Pitazo TV, digital media from Venezuela with the support of Genesis, and with Ecuador Chequea, a fact-checking organization from our country with the participation of the CIRE. Also, we have the support of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the Tech Camp program from the US Embassy in Ecuador, and Kaleidoscope, XR platform for creators that support our project with the social impact grant. We did this project with the aim of raising awareness around the Venezuelan exodus in our country, and I think in South America. The displacement has been received with different reactions. And what we always thought was to find a way to generate empathy and prevent xenophobic behavior around the people and the society. Our biggest challenge was migration policies because they were greatly affect our production and our research. The situation in those moments and also right now is very variable, and that forced us to wait to the exact moment to start production. But we were lucky to find the story of Agni, an incredible Venezuelan woman, and her story at the right time, at the right moment with the production. We decided to create Cruzar as an immersive project because in previous projects, we have already experimented with the sense of presence of VR. In this way, we propose to show another perspective of the situation, since in all the media and the Ecuadorian media, news and information that did not provide a personal and more human approach on what is happening with the Venezuelan displacement. That's why we created Cruzar. Cruzar was created for young people and adults who can change the vision, who could change their vision around this displacement, who in some way can be related to the Venezuelan population. This project has been selected in some festivals in Africa and Latin America and was shown virtually at universities in Ecuador, Guatemala, and the Netherlands. There we have done more than 10 virtual workshops with more than 180 students from careers like cinema, like social communication, and also with people from politics and international relationships. Before the pandemic, we made 2 physical exhibitions with complete installation of the project and reached more than 200 visualizations with the VR headset. Could you pass the next slide, please? This is the installation. In these installations, we are also create a participation activity where more than 100 people leave us letters of support for the Venezuelan migrants and refugees. We did this installation in 2 universities in Ecuador, one in Quito, another in Ibarra, a north city from our country. In that city, some years ago, we had a xenophobic outreach that was very bad for our sense and very bad moments for people, and that's why we put this installation in that place. Right now, we are looking for more exhibitions and funds to implement our project in larger scale in Ecuador and in the region, in South America region. We are working with partners in other countries like Chile, like Argentina, like Peru, to do some virtual exhibitions and also to create to show the installation. And we hope in the coming months, if the pandemic allows us and the people allow us, we will be able to show the project with VR headsets in some venues in our country and in other countries. After that, we want to release the content so that different NGOs can use it for awareness raising for free. Finally, we want to leave the question to those who have seen our project or to those who see the project in the future. Can you become an agent of change in the face of the problem? Thank you, and I'm open to questions. Okay, I see some questions. Hi, Micaela. You are from Ecuador also. Happy to connect. Great to hear that connect through with Zoom. Thank you for this answer up with stars to better in gender equality and correct race.
We have one hand raised. I'll unmute you if you would like to ask your question live.
Okay, I'm searching for that question, but I can see it. Okay, let me see. Sorry, I have a question maybe for, I don't know if it's for me or for the last project. Okay, which platform can be documentary viewed? Right now, the documentary is in the festival, in the platform of the event, and we are looking to put the documentary on other platforms, and we are trying to create our own platform. We have a web page. You can visit it. It's proyectocruzar.com. I'm gonna put in the chat. And in the future, that will be the place that will release the whole documentary for free. Not right now because we are in our festival's route, but we think that in more months we can put the content for free release in our platform. Okay, I'm searching for another questions. I don't know. I think that there's no more, or I think you all know that I have.
Well, we're actually about at time anyway. So if
Okay.
people think of more questions about your work, feel free to keep chatting on the Zoom chat feature about it.
Okay, thank you everyone, and good luck with the next project.
So we're going to move on to the next group from Argentina, Disconnect to Connect. So feel free to unmute yourselves and share your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's really an honor to be among all of these creators in this festival. We are so pleased. My name is Nicolás Garbar, and together with Andrés Díaz, we work at Fundación Puerta 18, a beautiful place located in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We are a non-formal social education program. We are part of the Clubhouse Network. That is an after-school program where youth work with adult mentors to explore their own ideas, develop new skills, and build confidence in themselves through the use of technology. Here we give free courses and workshops for young people between 13 and 24 years old. In the courses, technology is a central tool to achieve their objectives. We want everyone to have the same access to resources to give opportunities to everyone, no matter where they live or what economic reality they live in. We think, and this is one thing we say to them, that ideas are more important than tools. That's important to think about what they want to say and transmit beyond the tools and techniques. The approach we propose is project-based learning. We do a lot of audiovisual projects, but with the 360 technology that Digital Promise and Oculus gave access to, we had to learn a lot. And we learn together with them, with the youth. It was an experience that exposed us all. I would like to ask Memi and Abby to tell us about the project they created.
Hello, everyone. To begin with, we didn't imagine reaching this stage of the festival. So we are very excited and grateful for this great opportunity. And as representatives of the team, we have to highlight the importance of Puerta 18 for our group and for the video for this video to take place. The slogan was "Turn it around." So we wanted not only turn it around narratively, but also technically. So as you have seen it in the video.
Hi everyone. Do you hear me well? Okay. Well, I completely agree with her words, and now I'm gonna tell you an experience that I have during this quarantine that we all have been through. This is connect, of course, with disconnect to connect. Well, in my case, I live with my family. We are 4 members, and I found, and maybe you feel that you felt the same way, but like in that 2-4-7 coexistence, you want your time for your own. You need your personal space in your house, just to I don't know, to disconnect from all this time of 24/7. And so when I had those times where I needed to be in my personal space, I found this interesting that I always was with my phone with me, and that's like, okay. In one part, I want to say that it's worth clarifying that the important role that technology plays, like allowing us to work at distance or studying at distance, and I don't know, connecting with our friends and our family from the distance during the quarantine that we didn't see them for a long time ago. But at the same time, I found it interesting that there is so many applications that are so good for us, but also there are many applications that distract us like a lot. And so we were thinking about that, about the distraction that technology also can give to us if we don't use it like in a good way, in a right way.
And let's think about, what about if the next time that we are bored or we don't have too much to do, instead of scrolling Instagram, where we pass a lot of our times and maybe we didn't remember that we have saw maybe yesterday. I mean, wouldn't it be better to go outside, go for a walk, take a breath, take fresh air, have a moment alone with myself, and don't get stressed about the applications that are fighting for my attention, understanding that sometimes there is a time where I have to detoxify myself from things that are too ephemeral, like a tweet, a post of Instagram, or a story, maybe.
Yeah, and another situation, for example, is, you know, if you use Twitter, for example, or Instagram, and you post like stories on Instagram or you tweet on Twitter about how you feel, it's like interesting how, like, I have a question. Won't it be better, like, instead of tweet on Twitter how I feel, for example, if I had a bad day or whatever happened to me, won't it be better if I just go to talk it with a friend at a, I don't know, coffee shop for a talk to express how I feel? Like, I think there's a simple fact, but I was thinking about it. Like, we us as humans were created before technology and not technology before us. So there's like a simple question about why do we sometimes act like technology is so fundamental for us? Like, we depend of it like a lot if we were created before technology. I know this is very simple, but at the same time it's like deep if you think a lot about it. And connected with this is like we have to remember that we need that human contact. And it's not like all sharing how we feel or that with technology, but also going back to the first step, to the creation, to the human contact, to the face-to-face. And so talk with someone when things are like heading over us, instead of maybe tweet it and you don't have any good answer for the other side. So the importance of the human contact.
That's what Disconnect to Connect is all about. We think that each day is a new day, a new possibility to change our habits and priorities. And now we would like to finish with a question for you. What habits can I change to have a healthiest personal moment? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you make questions if you want?
Yeah, feel free to use the chat to write your questions in. And if folks want to speak live, you can raise your hand using the reactions toolbar, and then we'll unmute you to speak.
I can see the question.
I think it was April had a question. I just gave you the mic if you'd like to speak.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Hi. Good morning from the Philippines. It's 2 a.m. over here, actually. I really like your presentation and the insight of this exhibit. I actually saw it at the exhibit hall virtually, and it really resonated with me because we actually, a friend of mine and we actually created this project within the pandemic out of this whole issue of mental health, because we see that people are more lonely, or they're not able to connect with their loved ones. A lot of people are also isolated, and I think people recognize that this pandemic, which is a public health pandemic or crisis, is also a mental health crisis. And we need to find ways that we can still stay connected, not just with other people, but also go back and connect with ourselves and understanding what we are going through, and how this pandemic has also affected our lives. And I think what's important is maybe not really disconnecting per se from all these digital tools, but turning it around using our hashtag on how the tools can be made to really make connections. So I found that we can really talk to each other still. And, with the power of technology, even right now, we're on different time zones and we are staying connected. So perhaps we can still, use these tools, but it's our intention. It's what we want to get out of it, and the kind of relationships we can bring and build and strengthen with the people around us, whether it's the close family and friends we already have, or meeting new people with shared values and experiences and interests. So hopefully, yes, we will take it seriously, but we will also really take it mindfully. But yeah, thank you so much. It's a great initiative. And yeah, I would love to hear more for the other presentations as well.
Great. Thank you so much, April, for sharing your feedback. We do have to move on to the next presentation, but I'd love for you all to just keep this conversation going in the chat. And we are moving on next to our presenters from the project Domingo. So feel free to unmute yourselves and share your stories.
Hi, everybody. You hear me well? Yeah, okay. My name is Pedro. I'm based in Porto Alegre, Brazil, and I'm here today with Eduardo to talk about Domingo, that experience that invites you to get on your bike for a ride. Next slide, please. This project was made possible through this partnership between the Porto Alegre hub of the Global Shapers community, the young leaders organization created by the World Economic Forum, and the Thiago Gonzaga Foundation, a 25-year-old Brazilian NGO that have been acting for road safety. Next, please. So Domingo, it's a multisensory experience to promote cycling. It is super immersive, where in the full experience you watch it riding a bike, as you can see in the photos. And the idea came up because we are all cyclists, and we believe that the bicycle is not only promotes a healthy lifestyle, but it improves road safety, the overall urban mobility. It connects people to the city and through the city, and especially for Porto Alegre, where most of its emissions come from the transportation sector. Biking, it's a climate action. So in order to promote cycling, we had to comprehend how people from the most diverse social backgrounds in our city dreamed about the future of our city and how they see the bicycle in it. We had the contribution of over 100 citizens during this creative process, and they helped us to come up with this video that explores the freedom sensation that everybody in all contexts that they feel when they are riding a bike. Next, please. So Domingo, it's a production that communicates well with all ages, and our main public is kids from 10 to 17 years. And the next step in this project is to conduct workshops for road safety at schools, and the video Domingo will be a part of them. Right now, because of the pandemic, schools are closed, and these workshops are our current problem. As we are moving to the next slide, I would like to introduce Eduardo to the conversation so he can bring up our question to the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. So as you've seen, we have produced a fine multisensory experience with great learning potential and also really fun. However, the pandemic has made it even more clear the inequalities that exist in our society, especially in developing countries such as Brazil. So before COVID, we already faced the challenge of scaling up our project. This challenge also actually goes in the same direction as Jan mentioned before. But well, since this project relies on equipment and structure that are not available to everyone. So now, due to the necessary social distancing, we can only offer the video in the way we have done here at the festival. So our challenge or question, the point we want to build up with you guys, with your help, is how can we scale immersive 360 experiences in a way people can take the most out of it in a scenario where we can't provide the necessary structure ourselves. So this is our challenge, and please help us out. And to wrap it up, before we open to the discussion, I'd just like to reinforce the invitation for those who haven't yet. Please check out our video at the festival's platform.
So for folks who have responses to this question or questions on their own, you can use the chat or use the reactions toolbar to raise your hand, and then we'll call on you to unmute you and you can share your question live with us.
One thing that maybe I could add while people are thinking about their questions is that we have already tried this process in this format as we are doing with the actual bike and people riding while they watch the video. So we know it works. We have included it in our workshops, and we have done it for over a year with hundreds of kids and young people. So in the way we have planned it to be, we know it works. We can pass the message, people understand it, people learn from it, but it doesn't seem like a class. So it does conveys the message as we would like it to do. The greatest challenge is how can we do that without contact?
Tough question, we know.
Yeah, we imagine you are all facing the same challenge right now. So, and we don't expect you actually to have a definite answer for this challenge. But if you can think of anything, bring it up or let us know afterwards. If you do have any alternative on how we can build it in a better, more complete way, please let us know.
Thank you, Jen. Yes. Yes. Would this technology be compatible with exercise equipment like stationary bicycles? Yes. Like those you use at the gym. Yes. You just need the virtual reality glasses so you can experience it. In our project, we have actually the bicycles and the support, the structure to that the bike can hold still and you can ride it in the same place.
We do use this training supports with regular bikes just because it's easier for us and it's easier to take to the places where we're doing the workshops or presenting the project. But it would work just as well with those kind of stationary bikes.
Nicola's question it's very interesting too. It's in our site. We want to expand this project to another model of transports. So yeah, it would be
parachutes nice. Is new. Parachutes we haven't thought this far, but well, we are here to think out of the box. So maybe perhaps someday. It would be fun. I don't know how constructive it would be, but it would be fun for sure.
Well, we're actually right at about time, so feel free to keep chatting in the chat feature. We have one more presentation from our next group, talking about their film, Welcome. So I'm going to invite those creators to unmute their mics and share.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here again. We are from the Lana Institute, which is a social environmental impact organization from Brazil. We've been here in the SDG festivals in 2018 with River of Mud. It's a VR film about the greatest tragedy in Brazil. You can find it for free in YouTube. Well, Alana, what guides Alana are the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. And we are from the Jungle Bee, which is a producing facility attached to Alana Institute. And the issue of inclusion is really paramount for us. Marcos is my partner and also writer for this project. And I'm going to tell you, it all started when we received the McKinsey report saying that if a company, a big company or small company, employed people with Down syndrome, it would have many benefits, such as increased mood and tolerance among employees and increased productivity, as well as increased profits. We thought, well, we have to show this to the companies. We have to show that employing people with Down syndrome, it's good for those with DS and for the company as well. How to do this? Okay, and we create Welcome. Welcome is a film. Now we choose a virtual reality film to take this. To show to the employees and CEOs of company, so they could see that people with Down syndrome, that they are people like us, they can perform many tasks like us, and sometimes even in a better way, with his humor and different way of looking the world. Well, we said the only way to do it really is to put people inside a situation. So it has to be a VR project. So the employees of the big companies and CEOs, they could live side by side with these guys. Welcome, it's a VR fiction. Yes, actresses and actors have Down syndrome. And besides it's a fiction, it's a comedy. It's a comedy. Yes, it's a comedy. And it is a sitcom. I believe it is the first sitcom made in virtual reality in the world. The idea is not to bring something that's tedious for the employees, but an entertainment film. So we're going to put entertaining and learning together in an experience, a VR experience. The idea is simple. How is this going to work? How this works? We put 10 glasses, just 10 VR glasses in a small room in a company, and we are able to show the film to 40 people per hour. This is 320 in a day. In one day, we can show the film to 320 people very well with only 10 VR glasses. And then this makes 2,000 people per week. We are ready to act. We made the film. The film was ready in the middle of the pandemic. At the beginning of the pandemic, we are ready to act. We are ready to show this. We have already several companies that are interested in showing the film, McKinsey itself. And so as soon as the pandemic allows us, we are gonna show this in these companies and hope that this can open many doors for these incredible people with Down syndrome to work and to have a more fulfilling life. It was a really great pleasure to do this film. This guy is just amazing, amazing. We had fun from the beginning to end. My first assistant said, she worked with me for 15 years, and said, Tadeo, this was the best day in my life, the days we filmed with those guys. So we are very happy that we made this film. And we are really willing to put this out in the big companies and put these guys to work and have this prejudice down. Yes, this is the big question for me. Will virtual reality pave the way to a more inclusive society? I think so. I think so. Because when you have empathy, when you leave the situation, you really make the message more strong. So I think this is a yes question, but I really would like to hear you and the producers, the Brazilian guys from the bikes, and everybody else in the world. The virtual reality, you really can change. We really believe that. You know, this is strong enough to change the world. Can you work with video, VR, and change things in the world? Thank you. Claudia is here with me. So me and Claudia from Malana Institute, we can answer your questions about the project and anything else. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to make a question for myself. Let me make a question. Was it hard to work with these guys? No, not at all. They were wonderful. It was really hard to work with VR because they are all actors. They are really, the guys with Down syndrome, they're all actors. But it's really hard to work this because it's kind of a theater. So you have long scenes. You have 1 minute, 1 minute and a half of one scene. So sometimes it's really hard for actors also to work with it because it's like a theater. But they did really well, and we did a 2-day shoot only to make this is a 7-8 minute project.
May I ask something, Tadeu?
Sure.
First, congratulations. It was a really moving film to watch, and thank you for that. As for your main question here, as a tool, it is just a tool. It will depend on what we do with it, but I think it does have great possibilities to create empathy and to give us such feelings as well. But what I wanted to ask you is what kind of response, someone asked that for some of the other experiences, but what kind of response have you had already? Because when I watch it, I had some mixed feelings. It really made me think on how I perceive this kinds of situation. So I would like to know what have you heard from the people that you showed already?
It's a good question because this film, Welcome, now it has subtitles, of course, because it's for the world, but it's speaking in Portuguese. And I don't like subtitles in VR. I don't think it works really well. So the film is made for Brazil. And we could make a dub, the guys, of course, because the actors, you know, they are the main characters. They have to speak. So I think this is a tricky question for the world. But in Brazil, the response was really great. We showed to some CEOs already, and they love it. They really love it, and they say, "Okay, I have to work with this. Can I begin making this to show this film at home?" Yes, you can. Like everybody knows, we can put in YouTube and do it. But it's not the same experience. We can do it, it's not the same experience. So I think the best way is to wait until the end of the pandemic and put this in the big companies and make this fun. The employees are going to go to a room and they think they're going to watch kind of keynote, boring stuff that they do every day. But so they're going to watch a film. It's a comedy. It's a sitcom. When they take the glasses, the VR glasses out, many exhibitions we did before, they said, amazing. Oh, the guys, because it is really moving to see those guys acting. It's really a pleasure.
And we're at right about time. So I just want to thank everybody for presenting today, everybody for being here. Again, another big congratulations to all of the creators and all of the films that we were able to showcase today. And we want to let you all know that our next submission deadline is August 5th. So if you would like to create some media to add to our collection, you can go to myworld360.org to find some more information, toolkits, support, resources to get started on creating your project. So thank you all again. We really appreciate your time and being here today, and feel free to keep in touch with us. You can follow us at Digital Promise and follow the hashtag myworld360 to stay in touch. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.